One of the great things about doing residential architecture is that you work with different clients and different sites in each case, and the clients always come with their own preferences and dreams and desires, and I really like to work with those, and I hate telling people you must do this. I always like to get the clients on board, see what their preferences are, and then we work with those and we try and do something unique that suits the site and suits their predilections. Doesn't always work. Sometimes clients want to use materials that we think, no, that's not up to scratch, it's not appropriate, so we always talk that through. But I think the great thing about architecture is the ability to let the design process spiral around and around until you come up with something that you might not have seen before. Clients wanted a good maintenance-free, low-maintenance house that they could lock up and leave, but which was pretty robust for them and their growing family to use without too much worry. They were very keen to use concrete because the clients are a concrete manufacturing company, own a manufacturing company. And so we designed a house which had quite a lot of concrete, but was not a concrete house in the traditional sense. So we used a lot of concrete frames, infilled with timber frames or glass with no maintenance cladding, so that they had a very much carefree, robust house. The concrete frames we've used to sort of create a rhythm and a sense of scale across the building, and they vary. There's a primary frame and then a secondary frame which is slightly smaller, so it creates another degree of interest when you look at the row of concrete columns. And then we infilled it with light either timber framing or glass facades with coloured cement board in it, which doesn't require painting, it's through colour. So the ochre coloured boards go really well with the grey of the concrete, lift the building out of being a drab grey composition. But apart from that, we've kept the selection of materials quite minimal, so that there aren't too many materials. There's the concrete, there's the cement, and then there's a membrane roof which we've used because we wanted to keep the roofs quite flat, because as the buildings step up the hill, the building behind needs to be able to look over the building in front. So we had to keep the buildings low rise, plus choose a membrane which was presentable to look at and not too reflective, because we didn't want the sun reflecting off a steel roof into the eyes of the people in the bedrooms further up the hill. It has changed so much. When we arrived here, it's part of a large development called Omarino, which was a derelict farm and which has been turned into a beautiful, heavily planted landscape. So over the 15 years we've been involved, millions of trees have been planted and grown, and so the character of the place has had to be predicted in advance, and it's still constantly changing quite quickly as the planting grows and the landscape is sort of being more and more developed. So it's long-term thinking. It's a really admirable development from that point of view.